Back to Glamstar Report, and thank you so much for the incredible support you've shown this channel. We are here to speak the truth, even when the mainstream media wants to spin a web of lies and manipulation. Today, we have to talk about something that is as predictable as it is infuriating. Lorraine Kelly is back at it again with Russell Myers, and they are pushing a narrative that honestly makes my blood boil. They are actually asking, with straight faces, if the Duchess of Sussex, our Meghan Sussex, is about to reunite with her father, Thomas Markle. Can we just pause for a second and look at the sheer audacity of that question? Before we dive into the absurdity being peddled on daytime TV, let's get into the actual facts of Thomas Markle's recent move, because the official version being put out by the tabloids is missing some very dark context. The real story behind Thomas Markle's move. Thomas Markle has officially moved back to the USA. He claims he has returned to be fitted with a state-of-the-art prosthetic limb after a life-saving amputation he underwent while living in the Philippines. He says he wants to walk again. He says he wants peace. But let's look at the funding, shall we? Reports are swirling that this entire move, the medical care, the relocation, the logistics, is allegedly being funded or heavily facilitated by the Daily Mail. Think about that for a second. This is the same media conglomerate that has spent the better part of a decade trying to systematically dismantle the life, reputation, and mental health of Meghan Sussex. If the Daily Mail is paying for your move, you aren't looking for peace, you're looking for a paycheck, and you're providing them with the content they need to keep harassing your daughter. Thomas claims he wants to be closer to his family, but which family? He's surrounded by Samantha Markle and Thomas Jr., two individuals who have made a full-time career out of attacking Meghan Sussex on every platform that will give them a microphone. He says he wants to walk again, and his eldest daughter, Samantha, is out here doing the most, telling the press that this has been a spiritual experience for him. A spiritual experience? After years of selling out your own flesh and blood to the highest bidder? Really? Father of the Year material right there? Not. Let me be very clear. You will never find peace after what you have done to your daughter. You cannot profit from her pain and then expect a seat at her table. Mr. Markle is now back on U.S. soil, and the media is already using his presence as a weapon. He says, and I quote, "The next stage is to get an electric wheelchair and then a prosthetic leg." Samantha chimed in, saying, "Dad made the decision to come back to the U.S. for ongoing medical care. He will be surrounded by friends and family to support him." Now here is what makes this truly disgusting. Meghan Sussex, who was badly mistreated, betrayed, and publicly humiliated by this man, is now being dragged into this move as if it's her responsibility. Why would Lorraine Kelly drag Meghan Sussex into this story? On her recent show, Lorraine sat there with Russell Myers discussing Thomas's health and then pivoted to, will Meghan visit him now that he's back? As if this is some soap opera plot. This isn't a TV drama. This is a woman's life. Meghan Sussex has zero responsibility in this situation. She didn't ask her father to stage photos before her wedding. She didn't ask him to leak her private daddy letter to the press, the very letter that led to a massive legal battle which Meghan Sussex rightfully won. It is incredibly toxic to suggest that a daughter who has been emotionally abused by a parent's public betrayal owes that parent anything, especially when that parent is still actively participating in the media circus. Just recently, Thomas Markle was giving interviews criticizing Meghan Sussex's Netflix show, calling her inauthentic and fake. He's still out there attacking her character while the media simultaneously asks, why won't she visit him? It's gaslighting at its finest. We need to stand firm and insist Meghan Sussex should not be dragged into this. She has built a beautiful, peaceful life in California with Prince Harry and their children. She has focused on her philanthropy, her business ventures, and her own healing. She has set a healthy boundary, and as a society, we should respect that. The media, led by people like Lorraine Kelly, wants to force a reconciliation narrative because it's good TV. It's not good TV. It's harassment. They are trying to guilt trip a woman into breaking a boundary that she likely spent years in therapy trying to build. When Samantha Markle says it's a spiritual experience, what she means is that they are back in the US and ready to launch a new wave of attacks now that they are in the same time zone as the Duchess. Lorraine Kelly's move to frame this as a sad situation where Meghan is the one holding out is a calculated attempt to make Meghan Sussex look heartless. But what is truly heartless is a father who accepts money from the Daily Mail, the very paper his daughter had to sue to fund his life. What is heartless is a family that sees a medical crisis not as a private matter, but as an opportunity for another paid exclusive. I really don't like the fact that Meghan Sussex is being used as a prop in Thomas Markle's medical journey. She is a person, not a headline. She is a mother who has to protect her children from this kind of dysfunction. If Thomas Markle truly wanted peace, he would stop giving interviews. He would stop working with the tabloids. He would go into a quiet retirement and focus on his health without a camera crew present. But he won't. Because as long as he can say Meghan Sussex, the checks keep coming. We see you, Lorraine. We see you, Russell. We see the game you are playing, and we aren't buying it. Meghan Sussex is under no obligation to reconcile with people who have proven time and time again that they do not have her best interests at heart. The architecture of betrayal and media complicity. Let's get into the nitty-gritty of why this Lorraine segment was so calculated and so incredibly damaging. When you have someone like Lorraine Kelly, who is often marketed as the kindly auntie of British morning television, participating in this, it's far more dangerous than a loudmouth shock jock. She uses a soft tone to deliver incredibly sharp blows to Meghan Sussex. By sitting there with Russell Myers and framing Thomas Markle's move as a chance for a reunion, she is effectively priming the public to view Meghan as cold if she doesn't drop everything and run to the bedside of a man who has consistently sold her out. Think about the timing. Meghan Sussex is out here living her life, focusing on her brand, her family, and her charitable work. She isn't talking about her father. She isn't giving interviews about him. She has been silent. And yet, the media cannot let her exist in peace. They have to drag her back into the mud. And let's talk about Russell Myers for a second. This is a man who makes his living analyzing the every move of the royal family, and he knows exactly what he's doing. By linking Thomas Markle's medical recovery to Meghan's moral character, he is effectively participating in a form of media-sanctioned stalking. Why is the media so obsessed with this reunion? It's because a happy ending isn't what they want. What they want is a confrontation. They want the paparazzi shot of Meghan walking into a hospital so they can analyze her outfit, her facial expression, and then interview the half-siblings to see if she paid enough attention to them. It is a trap, and I am so tired of seeing Meghan Sussex being forced into these traps. Let's look at the history here, because the media, especially Lorraine, loves to suffer from selective amnesia. They talk about Thomas Markle as if he's just a poor, struggling father. They forget the staged paparazzi photos before the 2018 wedding. They forget that he worked with Jeff Rayner to create fake, heartwarming photos of himself reading a book about Britain in a cafe. They forget that when Meghan Sussex reached out to him to try and handle things privately, he took her private, vulnerable correspondence and handed it to the press. You don't do that to someone you love. You don't do that to your daughter, and you certainly don't do that when you know she is being hunted by the global media. And now we have Samantha Markle weighing in. Samantha, who has spent years on Twitter and in TV studios spewing vitriol, is now calling this a positive spiritual experience. It's laughable. What's spiritual about it? Is the spirit the check coming from the Daily Mail? Is the spiritual experience the fact that you're back on U.S. soil and can try to serve her with more frivolous lawsuits? We have to call out the fact that Thomas Markle has been giving interviews about Meghan Sussex for years. This isn't a man who wants to quietly reconcile. This is a man who wants the spotlight. He wants the spare light. He's complained that he hasn't met his grandchildren, Archie and Lily, but he never stops to ask why. He never looks in the mirror and realizes that no parent would expose their children to someone who behaves so erratically and disloyally. In public, Meghan Sussex isn't keeping him away. He has built a wall of betrayal that he refuses to tear down. Lorraine Kelly needs to answer for why she thinks it's appropriate to discuss a woman's estranged, abusive father as a lifestyle topic. It's not a lifestyle topic. It's a matter of family trauma. By dragging Meghan Sussex into this, Lorraine is validating the idea that a woman's boundaries are up for public debate. She is suggesting that because Meghan is a public figure, she no longer has the right to decide who is safe to have in her life and who isn't. And let's be real about the prosthetic limb story. While any medical issue is serious, the way it's being framed is he might walk again so he can move closer to her is a classic manipulation tactic. It's designed to make the audience feel sorry for him and angry at her. It's emotional blackmail 101, and the British media is the primary instructor of that class. We must protect Meghan Sussex from this toxicity. We must insist that her name be kept out of these updates. If Thomas Markle wants to move to the US, fine. If he wants medical care, fine. But that has nothing to do with the Duchess. She is not his doctor, she is not his financier, and she is certainly not his PR agent. She has moved on. She has found her peace, a real peace, not the fake tabloid peace Thomas is claiming to want. It is so important for us, the viewers and the supporters, to recognize these patterns. When you see Lorraine Kelly tilt her head and say, "Oh, wouldn't it be lovely if they made up?" remember that she is actually saying, "Wouldn't it be lovely if we got another 6 months of drama and clickbait at Meghan's expense?" The Daily Mail's checkbook and the exploitation of family. Now, let's pull back the curtain on the most disturbing part of this entire repatriation of Thomas Markle. We have to talk about the Daily Mail, because while Lorraine Kelly and Russell Myers are busy playing family counselors on national television, they are conveniently ignoring who is likely footing the bill for this entire operation. As of May 2026, Thomas Markle has officially touched down back in the U.S. after a stint in the Philippines. He's 81 years old, he's recovering from a life-saving amputation after a blood clot nearly took him out in December, and he's looking for state-of-the-art medical care. But let's look at the patterns. For years, every time Thomas Markle is in a hospital bed, there is a Daily Mail reporter virtually tucked in with him. In fact, back when he was first hospitalized for his stroke, Meghan's team had to point out that it was nearly impossible to reach him privately, because the press was literally camping out in his room, broadcasting his every breath for clicks. It is absolutely shameful. And now, reports are surfacing that this move, this new chapter, is being funded by the same tabloid machinery that Meghan Sussex had to defeat in a court of law. This is the ultimate betrayal. How can Thomas Markle claim he wants peace while he is effectively on the payroll of his daughter's most aggressive bullies? You cannot say you want a relationship with your daughter in one breath and then sign an exclusive deal with the paper that published her private letters in the next. The state-of-the-art manipulation. Samantha Markle is out here talking about state-of-the-art prosthetics. Do you know how much those cost in the U.S.? We're talking $50,000 to $100,000 for the kind of advanced microprocessor-controlled limbs they're describing. Thomas Jr. has publicly complained that their father's health insurance won't cover it, and has essentially demanded that Meghan Sussex pay for it. Wait a minute, why is it Meghan Sussex's responsibility to pay for this? Medical care of a man who hasn't spoken to her without a camera present since 2018. Why should she fund the recovery of a man who continues to call her inauthentic in the press? This is a man who found love with a nurse in the Philippines, someone 35 years his junior, and spent his recovery giving exclusive interviews to the Daily Mail about his new joy. If he has enough joy to give interviews, he has enough resources to figure out his own medical bills without dragging his daughter through the mud yet again. And let's look at the reach out narrative. The media loves to claim Meghan is cold and estranged, but even now, in 2026, reports have confirmed that she did reach out. She sent a letter to his hospital bedside, delivered via U.S. Embassy officials to ensure it actually reached him without being intercepted and sold by his other children. And what did the family do? They immediately went to the press to say the letter didn't bring them any closer. You see, it's never enough. If she reaches out, they complain it's not enough. If she stays silent, they call her heartless. This is why Meghan Sussex must be protected from this toxicity. There is no winning with people who view your very existence as a commodity to be sold to the highest bidder. Now, we have to look at the most sinister layer of this entire saga. To understand why Meghan Sussex maintains such a firm, immovable boundary, we have to revisit the legal battlefield. We cannot talk about Thomas Markle's move back to the U.S. without acknowledging that he wasn't just a distant father, he was a star witness for the defense in the Daily Mail's attempt to crush his own daughter. Let's refresh our memories, because the mainstream media, especially Lorraine Kelly, loves to gloss over the trauma of the 2021 legal battle. When the Mail on Sunday published that deeply personal, private daddy letter, they didn't do it for a headline. They did it with Thomas Markle's full cooperation. He handed over the most vulnerable parts of his daughter's soul to a tabloid that hates her. And what did Meghan Sussex rightfully do? She sued them for copyright infringement and breach of privacy. And Thomas Markle didn't back down. He offered to fly to London to testify against her. Think about the psychological toll of that. Your own father, who you supported financially for years, who you loved, who you protected, is willing to stand in a witness box and help a multi-billion-dollar media corporation humiliate you. And yet, Russell Myers sits on Lorraine's couch and wonders why there hasn't been a family dinner lately. The ignorance is staggering. The Daily Mail didn't just use Thomas, they weaponized him. They turned a family tragedy into a legal strategy. And now, in 2026, as they allegedly fund his medical move and his advanced prosthetics, they are simply keeping their star asset close. They aren't helping a sick man, they're maintaining their primary source of anti-Meghan content. Every dollar they spend on his wheelchair is a dollar they expect to make back tenfold through exclusive interviews where he expresses his heartbreak that Meghan Sussex hasn't called. The gilded cage of tabloid dependency. Thomas Markle is in a gilded cage of his own making. He is dependent on the very people who destroyed his relationship with his daughter. He claims he wants peace, but peace doesn't come from a checkbook signed by the Associated Newspapers Group. And let's talk about the hypocrisy of the family values crowd. These are the same people who scream about loyalty to the crown, yet they applaud a man for betraying his own child. If Meghan Sussex had done 1/10 of what Thomas has done, if she had sold his private letters or staged photos of him, the British press would have called for her to be stripped of every title and banished. But because she is the victim and she chooses to protect herself through silence, they label her difficult. No, she isn't difficult. She is disciplined. She is discerning. She understands that you cannot feed a shark and expect it to become a pet. The media shark wants blood, and Thomas Markle keeps providing it. We have to hold the enablers accountable. Lorraine Kelly, by framing this as a sad estrangement, is participating in the victimization of Meghan Sussex. By not mentioning the legal betrayal, by not mentioning the paid interviews, by not mentioning the toxic social media presence of Samantha Markle, Lorraine is providing a one-sided, biased narrative. It is time we demand better. Why is there no one on that panel saying, wait a minute, isn't it true that Thomas Markle has repeatedly attacked his daughter's character on international TV? Why is there no one saying, isn't it reasonable for a woman to distance herself from a father who works with her legal enemies? The silence on these points is deafening. It's because the truth doesn't sell papers. The truth doesn't get people to tune in to Lorraine at 9 a.m. Only the evil Duchess narrative works for them. What Meghan Sussex is doing is actually a masterclass in self-preservation and modern mental health. In a world that tells women they must forgive and forget regardless of the harm caused, Meghan is saying, I choose my peace. She is showing millions of people that it is okay to walk away from toxicity, even if that toxicity shares your DNA. She is protecting Prince Harry, who has already lost a mother to the relentless pursuit of the paparazzi. She is protecting Archie and Lily, ensuring they grow up in a home where loyalty and privacy are sacred. She is not dragging her father. His move to the U.S. is his business. She is simply refusing to be part of the circus. The final word on Thomas Markle's new life. If Thomas Markle truly wants to spend his final years in peace, he needs to do one thing. Stop. Stop the interviews, stop the Daily Mail exclusives, stop the YouTube shows with Lady Colin Campbell's associates, stop letting Samantha be his spokesperson. If he can do that, if he can live a quiet, private life in the U.S. for 2 years without mentioning Meghan Sussex once, then maybe people would believe he wants a reconciliation. But we all know that won't happen. The spiritual experience Samantha mentioned is just code for we have a new deal with a U.S. network. We see you, Markle family, and we see you, Lorraine. You're not fooling anyone on this channel. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. Let's hit 10,000 likes for the Duchess.